instead of 6 months, I remained there for 20 years. We started in a half basement doing images, having no tutorials, no support material whatsoever. So it was like discovering new stuff. And
it was very, very tragic for us because he was not just our boss, he was a friend of ours, he was the same age. We worked together very closely, and also, it did a lot of private things together. So it struck us hard. We had no idea about nothing. We've never been to a tax advisor office. We had no idea how to talk to clients. We had no idea how to finish a project because Andre was always finishing the project. And the moment I put away the mouse, I won't earn any money anymore. That's, I think, where we started thinking about like really growing out of this immature state into something like a real business.
Nobody says that the way will be a linear one. It's always you plan something which looks like a line and then it looks like that. But if you zoom out and the direction is the correct one, then you're on the right path. At a certain moment, you just have to realize that you're not enough and you need support. It's not like buy my images because they're nice. Managing a design company is basically managing chaos. So you basically have to mix creative stuff with very organized thinking and acting, because we all know how chaotic the clients are. The moment you lower your price, you lower yourself, you lower your value, it's about the benefit of the people you call clients. It's not about your ego as big artists.
Hey everyone, Anis Alomar from the Business of Archviz. Today we have a podcast episode with a company I knew at the D2. I know them before that from social media, from Instagram and LinkedIn. And I met Zolt and Niko at the D2 this year, 2024. And I was curious to know how the company grew over time, how they started. How did that happen that beyond visuals, now they are in Germany and Romania? And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Niko and Zolt, welcome to the podcast episode, and please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you very much, Anis. It's pleasant to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you, Anis, for the nice introduction.
Great, amazing. So we had some sort of conversation at the D2, and you mentioned some of the backstory, but we had very little time. If you don't mind sharing more about how did you get into Archviz, each one of you?
Yeah, maybe I can start with myself. So for me, it was an interesting journey because I'm not coming from a family background of artists or architects or something. So when I was 16, 17, I was, let's say, just a lad who has no idea what to do with his future. Kind of ended up in the army and stayed there for 2 years.
Interesting.
Serving, being a, I don't know how you call it in English, but being a lieutenant, having to lead smaller groups of people. So kind of was pushed into, leading people very early, with 19. But still after the army, I still had no idea what to do. And only by chance, I stumbled across the possibility to make an internship at an architectural office. This, in the end, is also the office where I met Zolt and our former boss, Andre, who we will also talk about, I think, because he is an important figure in our history. And there I was just fascinated with the whole field of architecture and basically had no idea about design. I was not somebody who was into drawing or something, but working there in the competition department, it helped a lot. We both worked in that department where only competitions were made. So very, very high pressure, young people working under strange situations, like a lot of pressure, but with really the mindset of creating something great each and every time, one competition after the other. And for me, it was like really building of physical models, which I started. I did that in my past when building some car models at home or something. So my hands were okay-ish for that field. And like after like building these physical models for the competitions, for the architects, I saw that also there is something starting, like you can showcase architecture in 3D. But back then when we started, we are talking now 20 years ago or something, Jolt. I don't know when it was, like 2000 something, there was nothing, there, like the tutorials you can get about it. The first thing I did, I bought a book, like a tutorial book for 3ds Max, and I learned how to extrude a cube. That was, can extrude a cube. Now I can extrude 2 cubes, and one is the roof and one is the building, and then I can place the camera. Oh my God, how crazy is that? So this way we came into architecture visualization. And then, I don't know, Zolt, I met Zolt there at the competition department, and there was this other guy who was a friend of ours back then, who started really doing this inside the competition department, creating the images for the competitions. Very low end, of course, back then, because couldn't do much with the computers available. Also, there was no internet connection at Terani. I remember that, George. There was only one connection, which was shared between the architects. You had to ask for the password. So now I need internet today for 5 minutes. And it was very funny. So basically no learning resources, nothing. But Andre back then started doing the images for the competitions and then got self-employed. This was around about 2003 or something. And I still was a student, Zolt as well, I think, and he started then hiring us. We worked for him. From him, we learned how to do images, mostly for that competition department of this big architecture office. And from there, everything started.
Yeah.
Wow, perfect.
So I have a slightly different background than Niko. As I can remember, I was always drawing something like a kid. Also, my mother showed me some drawings I did when I was 3 or 4. We were really bad. It doesn't matter. It was a passion of mine, doing drawings all the time. So I pretty early decided, coming from an artist family, both of my parents were opera singers, so I was surrounded by artists all the time. So I kind of, without knowing what that means, I decided at a certain moment to go into architecture, but I was kind of a teenager and had no idea what that is, but it sounded important, right? It sounded not like...
It still sounds important.
I go into architecture because I like to draw. That was the idea in my head. Therefore, I started studying architecture here in Romania. I studied here 2 years, and then I got with a scholarship to Hamburg, to Germany, when I was 20. This was just a few years after the communist regime here in Romania disappeared, was replaced, however you want to call it, and the big liberty came. So I went to Germany with a scholarship. The intention was to stay there for 6 months and then to return back and continue my studies. And instead of 6 months, I remained there for 20 years. I finished my studies. As Niko said, we met at a big international architecture firm there, where we both worked as students doing these physical models, what also was a big fascination of mine. And this guy, Andre, who Niko was talking about, he did all the visuals for this office, which back then, at the early 2000s, end of the 90s, basically, was pretty rare stuff to do. So he decided at a certain moment to go freelance and had this one-man show, him at home working. We have some photos. I don't know, I cannot share it now because we have to look in the archive, but it looked like ancient stuff.
You shouldn't share them.
We shouldn't. So basically he was sitting in his home doing these images and had this one client. And of course the demand grew. And then he asked us, because we knew each other, he asked first Niko and then me to join his office. Just started it, okay? So we started, the 3 of us, as I said, Niko first, and I got to his office end of 2004 after I finished my studies. And yeah, so we started in half basement doing images, having no tutorials, no support material whatsoever. So it was like discovering new stuff. And of course, which is what is very attractive for young people and still is, I think it's always is that you discover something you learn by yourself. No, you couldn't study it, is needed, and people are paying money for it. And this was the attraction to go into that you can suddenly financially support yourself with something you love to do. It's a very nice thing, but also very, very dangerous. And we will come to that.
Not very healthy as well. So we had a lot of cigarettes, a lot of pizza, and a lot of tiramisu. I remember back then.
Yeah.
Great. So, you joined Andre, both of you. That was 2003 somehow.
Yeah, basically he was the boss of the company. He owned the company. Back then the name was also Andre Studio, when he changed his name. And then, the sad thing happened. He died in the year 2007 from a heart attack. So there was no time to prepare to that. So it was very, very tragic for us because he was not just our boss. He was a friend of ours, He was the same age. We worked together very closely and also, it did a lot of private things together. So it struck us hard. For me, it wasn't the situation where I directly after finished my diploma. So I got my diploma, the presentation. I went to visit my parents to relax for a couple of days. And then Joel called me and told me he's dead. Back then, Andre also had a couple of other employees, others than us. And Jolt and I immediately decided that we are going to continue this. And let's talk about maybe, the most crucial points in our career and also in our personal relationship. I think this kind of, I don't know how you say in English, but this put us together in a very, very strong way, because we had no idea about nothing. We've never been to a tax advisor office. We had no idea how to talk to clients. We had no idea how to finish a project because Andre was always finishing the projects. We had ongoing projects. We had to talk to the lawyer because it wasn't our office and we just continued, so it was difficult from that perspective as well. So there were many, many parameters which we had no idea about, but what we knew is that we just continue and keep on going because we love the idea of what he created and what he started. And back then I couldn't imagine to do anything else. It's still the case, for me, it's still a great thing to do, Archviz. But these were really, really difficult times, as you can imagine, for us. I was 27, Georgie was, I don't 30. Know how old you were, 30.
Okay.
Basically, what I just want to add to Niko's saying that they were completely different times, all right? Because there was almost no competition in the market. So we were just a few in the whole world doing this. And there was a high demand. So this is the interesting start of this industry. Maybe we will talk a little bit later, also about it. But if you compare it to now, now the offer is huge and the demand is not so big. Back then, there was a huge demand and nobody was offering it. Nobody was satisfying these demands. And people like us, okay, you're very young, you have no business education whatsoever. And you just jump on this train and think, this is it. This will go forever like this. You just sit around, do your stuff. If you don't like clients, you send them somewhere and say, I don't want to work again with you.
We did that.
That was my specialization. Like if my artist was not satisfied by client wishes, then I just don't work with them. So completely different time. The telephone was not stopping ringing. It was a running gag between the two of us, like, let's just guess who is calling. Just imagine, this is a very interesting story that top 5 architecture office from worldwide called Andre. He was still alive and asked for collaboration. And we were moving with the office from one basement to another basement. And, no cell phones, okay? We just had this
landline.
And we had for 2 or 3 weeks no telephone because we were slow at moving these computers. So no work was done because why? So when he plugged in the telephone again, there was a message from this huge architecture office like, okay, we are waiting now 2, 3 weeks of you. What is your decision? And he decided
decision.
yes. And then this collaboration started. So imagine nowadays that just a huge client, really, really huge client, top 5 client, waits for you as for this long. All right. So it's completely different. It's completely different.
The days are still the same, but like the equation is flipped. We are waiting for the client. The same, not high.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting start, but just curious to know why you said that Andre had all the different employees. Why you both decided to take over the company or maybe continue the company and
we had,
other employees did not?
We had a meeting with the whole team, which was 7 people, and said this is the way we want to do it. So that Niko and I would like to take over the charge and running the company. Is there anyone else? So we just asked this question: is there anyone else interested to partner up with us or doing something else with this office in a way? And they just jumped, just went away, said no, it's too risky, they don't want it. So that was
we also stayed like in the office. I think we were only 4 after he died, like immediately after this decision. A lot of people left as well, like to make other careers, so for us it was a matter of mindset. For us it was always clear, my plan was when I have the diploma, I will team up with Zolt and Andre, and I want to be part of this company. I want to grow there and learn a lot and be a business owner. That's kind of the mindset thing.
Okay, perfect.
Exactly. To run the own business, that was also one of my very early goals and dreams. So it was, okay, the circumstances, they were really tragic.
Yes.
Really, really.
Okay, cool. And that was 2007.
That was 2007. And then for a couple of years, we just worked our asses off, to be honest. So this, I think, is also for your listeners maybe interesting how the transition took place, because for us, again, no idea about how to run a business, how to communicate with clients, how to, have processes in what you're doing. We were just doing what we could, we were just doing images day after day after day after day after day, night, and really worked our asses off. And at a certain point, after a couple of years, I think we realized and asked ourselves, do you really want to do that until you're 50? You want to sit there with no future vision, just finishing one image after the other. Also having in mind, for me, it was a crucial point when I realized, at the beginning, I worked together with my ex-bosses, for example, from Teherani, from the architecture office where we worked. You were talking to this level of people, and I was okay with them telling me how to do my work, and maybe make the shadow better and change that light and so on and so on. And after a certain while, you do this for 5 or 6 years, then young people enter the business, and they start telling you how to do your job. And I thought a little bit ahead. That was also okay, because it's a client demand, you have to understand, you have to just fulfill the client needs with what you're doing. But still, like, the future perspective was none, sitting there for years. And when I'm 50 and 60 and still doing that, and at the moment I put away the mouse, I won't earn any money anymore. That's, I think, where we started thinking about and like really growing out of this immature state into something like a real business.
Yeah, you get on your edge on your limits of physical and mental power. And like Niko said, then you start to ask yourself, okay, what is the future bringing in this scenario? Because slowing down the pace would mean financial catastrophe. Keeping it up or even increasing it's not possible, because I remember the longest period I worked without any free day was 6 months, like 7 days out of 7, 14 to 16 hours every day. In Hamburg, where in autumn and winter you have a lot of darkness because it's up north, and it's really dark in winter, so you have just 4 or 5 light hours a day, and in those circumstances working 5 or 6 months in that pace, and then you start to ask yourself, okay, what about health and all this stuff? And then we said we love, and this is to get back what we said at the beginning, that you love what you do, and so you forget things. You just ignore a lot of stuff because of passion towards your job, and that can be really dangerous, because you just wake up depressions and all that stuff with burnouts and all the bad things that can happen health-wise. And that was the moment we started to think, okay, what is now the future? That we stay together as a company, however, was set, was a given. And then we started reading literature and about business, how you grow business, what's your role in it, and on and on. And at a certain moment, we just went heavily into our finances and hired a business coach, with whom we started collaborating 2013 or 14.
Also, if I may add something, the moment, this is also, you work on the project day and night, and then the moment you start to read into what a real company is and what components are needed in order to sustain, you get shocked. I think, oh my God, when do I do that? How do I do that? How do I grow my business? How do I retain my clients? How do I get new clients? How do I learn new software? How do I update my skills? All this, how can I innovate, when doing projects? So all these different components are not doable if you're working alone. Let's say it was like freelancing what we did. We had an employee back then, but she was doing the same. And also when the other guy came, they were just doing what we were doing. There was no structure whatsoever. It was just, okay, you do this project, I do this in this and this and this project. And also because we were the business owners, we always said, okay, we want our employees only to work 8 hours and not longer. So they got the easy ones, and one at a time, and we got the heavy ones, and we just did one after the other. And that was really why we decided then to hire a business coach, because we saw no other way out of it. So how can we understand what's necessary to do? What are the necessary steps to grow out of this cage, because after a while, it really feels like a cage.
This is interesting. Also learning by doing stuff, like you have more and more work, and then what is the solution of more and more work? You just hire people. But because more people can do more work, but we had no plan what to do with them. And then one day you would just wake up and have these employees of yours surrounding you, and you realize they are not on the same hierarchic level, all right? You're their bosses, and they rely on you, that jobs are coming, that the salary is coming, that they can sleep, that they have a balanced life. So then you'll start and ask yourself, is it not dangerous for this construction to work on projects further as company owner? And step by step, we just built up the company, so we don't do any productive work. I'm out of it at least since 2016, 15, 16, like that. So almost 10 years I do no more production because it's dangerous to do it. All right. You have to take care of the business. Yeah.
Cool. So if I would summarize the trip, 2003, you both worked together. 2007, you started Beyond Visual Arts.
More or less, yeah. We renamed the company a little bit later, but it doesn't matter.
You started the company that you are running today.
2007, yeah.
2013, you got the business coach, and maybe before that a little bit, you started to see that, okay, how should we have a real company? In 2016, Zolt, you went out of production, and you, Nico, as well?
Yeah, we kind of split in a way. I went also out of production. There was one client I was dealing with this. It was a special kind of project, a retailer basically. I knew how to do it. So, but basically I also went out of production and I was taking care of client communication. I was the one who was talking to the client, doing the project briefings for the team. Getting the feedback from the client and briefing the team, because also back then, I think 2016, we decided to, or Zolt decided for personal reasons, basically to go back to Romania. So that was another very big step in our development. Because when we started this, or when you, Zolt, when you went back for a certain period, we had 2 offices doing the same stuff. And so Zolt was based in Romania now with a new team. I was based in Hamburg with parts of the old team, and everything we needed kind of twice, infrastructure and also technical installations. And it was not very good. And after a very, very short while, we realized, okay, if we go on like this, it's going to split somehow into 2 separate offices. So we basically decided, also because it's a great city, Cluj, where we are in Romania with a university, to have the creative team who's doing the production only there. And Hamburg is now, back then, rather the hub for client communication. So right now we're structured like this, that the creative team is in Cluj, while I'm here with a colleague taking care of the client communication. So this is kind of the split of the responsibilities at the moment.
Okay. We will get to client communication and acquisition later, but just to summarize the tipping points in the business. So 7, 13, 16, somehow you both quit. And I don't know when you started Zolt in Romania, but that was in 2020. So 2016, you went there.
Yeah, we prepared the terrain for 2 years. So 2014, we started first thoughts about how can we structure it, and you start and make your research on, is there any manpower? Can you hope to employ someone? Is there a need to, are there too big or not too big cultural differences? How you do it? Is the quality okay? How can you teach the guys, and on and on. And then we had the plan done. And 2016, I moved back to Romania after 20 years in Germany. I just moved back to Cluj, to my home city.
Okay, great. Yeah. So since 2016 until today, it is still the same structure. Oh,
yeah,
perfect. Yeah. You have hired a business coach, and you have set the company or the departments, I would say, or the smaller parts. Maybe you have done some streamlining of all the actions, the processes, all of that. Did you set what is unique about Beyond Visual Arts? I mean, if you would summarize, what is really unique about the company?
We're talking a lot about it since we started trying to be a brand. That was maybe something which was also an early decision, which came halfway through, that we are not just 2 guys doing stuff. We wanted to build a brand. And of course, we talk a lot about what this brand is, how we can give more value rather than just producing images. So in the end, if you break it down, Zolt will maybe tell a little bit more about the core values of our company. But in the end, we also have to be realistic. We are kind of dealing with client demands. We are doing architecture visualization and a very high standard, which I think is good. We are doing animations and other products we sell. I think sometimes it's a little bit exaggerated, pointing out on any specific thing you're doing within the service, like, okay, we are doing more brilliant images or more nicer images, or we are telling the better story, or now we are doing not animation with 1 camera, but with 2, you have to distinguish yourself a little bit differently. And maybe, Zolt, you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So I recently read some stuff regarding your question. Read some stuff about, I guess it was Toyota, who developed a kind of motivational stuff, the 5 whys. So if you do something, you ask yourself why, and then you have an answer, and then you ask again why that answer, and why, and you go in depth by 5 times asking why he was, meaning, okay, then you got to your core problem, which or your core solution or whatever that is, the core idea of something. So at a certain moment, you just ask yourself, how come that we have so much power in doing this, right? Because over 20 years passed, and we still do it with the same energy at the beginning. So there is nothing changed except a little bit of gray hair, and you grow older, but physically, right? But we started asking ourselves, of course, why can we keep this pace up? Not necessarily this pace of not eating and not sleeping, not this crazy, unhealthy stuff, but this fire you have inside yourself. What is it, right? And then you start to realize by going deeper and deeper and deeper that there are some core values that you guide you through your life, because basically it's about life, it's business or whatever you mean. We all live for a certain moment, and that's it. And the question is, what values guide you through that? All right. And we make we don't make a big difference between life and this office, all right? Never did. Regarding us, we don't ask that from other people, but regarding us, I live this office all the time, all right? And it's not a business like, okay, if it's not running, then I go and I shut it and I go and do something else. It's something more valuable than this. So coming back to what Niko said, based on these values we have, that offer us this long-term power we have, we started building up a brand which doesn't do just is not a diminutive, but it does more than service providing. We have this motto, empowering people to shape the future. So we try to create value wherever we can, all right? Now we have a long-term collaboration with the Architecture University here in Cluj, where we have the most extensive offer of 3D teaching and Archviz teaching in the whole country. We have also an official and long-term partnership with the Transylvanian Architectural Biennial, where we do interactive workshops, and now we started with AI and whatnot, and bring Archviz into a country which is now starting to understand what we do and how we do it. So we do a lot of community work. I had the honor to organize the first D2 in May this year, together with Fabio and Jason. So we do our reforestation actions because we want to do our stuff in commitment towards ecology and environment. We do a lot of stuff which is much more than, so much more. It is something else than earning money. And this has a lot to do with our core values, that we believe that the future can be made. Now this sounds like a bad movie, all right, or a bad quote for somebody, but we strongly believe in the human capacity to positively shape the future if so wanted. All right, we can also destroy everything, but if we so desire, we can do huge leaps towards something good. And it's a modest and humble contribution we do with this office, but we want to act like that.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something that sets up as a part, but this is not emerging from something like, okay, let's see how we can be different than others. This is just honesty and authentic doing stuff what we love to do, and then you just see where this journey brings you.
Yeah.
Because one story then develops the next one and the next one and the next one, and it's really fascinating. So if you take all the challenges we went through, it's just fascinating how things grow and develop, and you have your direction. Nobody says that the way will be a linear one. It's always you plan something which looks like a line, and then it looks like that. But if you zoom out and the direction is the correct one, then you're on the right path.
Yeah, that's a very unique. I mean, if you tell me in the beginning, we empower others to build the future, it doesn't mean a lot in the beginning. But like when you explain it this way, what keeps us for 20 years in the same energy, what motivates us to always not consider that this is work, this is home, but like it's already home. And what keeps us to with fully motivated to teach the next generation, okay, is literally we are, I mean, I'm just rephrasing what you said, but that's really a very good point.
Also understanding that we're depending on the next generation, you know, this is also why we are doing this teachings at the university, because we kind of see the future of course. You know, it's also like a cheap phrase from a movie, but we see the future in the next generations, of course. You know, we cannot keep up the pace with all technical evolutions and everything. You know, we cannot stay on, like me as a person or Zolt as a person. We're not saying or expecting us to be the very top of the pops all the time when it comes to software and development and innovative future. You know, so we are dependent on the upcoming generations, and this is why we want to empower them also and kind of light that spark in them about Archviz and then joining our path.
We also translate this into the services we provide, because basically it describes the core of what we do. All right, we visualize something, and everybody who's in this industry knows throughout doing, you start to see what is to be realized, to be done. So this is supporting people to shape the future. Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, anyone who sees these services, could you summarize what services you do? You do like two parts. One is education, one is service-based. If you would summarize the two of them, I mean, the key points of the services, what would they be?
Now, when it comes to the services we offer to clients, and I would say the standard services of Archviz offices at the moment. So we are very much focused on 3D still imagery, but also animation, also these kind of immersive real-time experiences. This is growing and growing, so we're starting doing a lot of stuff in that direction. And since we are architects, we also offer design services. All right. So I think this is also one of our advantages. Let's put it that way, even though most of our colleagues or also competitions are from the architecture field. But I think we are quite good designers, to be honest. And we also hire good designers. So what we can do is we can fill gaps, design gaps quite quickly, which I think is also a very, very important asset when doing Archviz right now. So you cannot just sit there and wait for all the inputs and all the details. You have to be creative. You have to be able to fill gaps, you know, even design facades and landscape design and so on and so on, you name it. So this is also a service we offer alongside with the, let's say imagery marketing output material we create. And when it comes to the teaching, this is a service we give away for free. You know, we're not getting paid for it.
I see. Okay, perfect. So it means, let's talk about only the Archviz services. What type of clients do you work with?
It's a mix. Let's say 60% of them, if not 70, are from real estate developing companies, so real estate developers. A lot of them in the DACH region, like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, but also from other countries, like all abroad. And the rest, most of them is architectural offices, also of any kind. So we're still working with the so-called star architects, helping them with competitions, working our asses off. But still, this is great, you know, because you can work with interesting architecture and create great output. So this is fun for everybody, even though it's very challenging, very demanding. And also very small offices, so everything, like the full bandwidth. And then we have some clients also from the retail industry, so some retailers, and some partner offices who are doing, let's say, who are focused on real estate marketing, so agencies who are doing marketing services, which we support with remnants.
Perfect. And do you know how percentage of your clients are here in the DACH region? Or I mean, you mentioned in the beginning that you started when there was no competition. Okay. Do you still have the same client base until today, or
Not
are you
exactly.
growing it, or it's
Yeah.
changing?
It's changing and growing all at the same time. Maybe we move back to the very, very beginning. So we were lucky to be part of this huge architecture office back then when we worked there.
Yeah.
There were 200 people working for now 250 something, and then they went, luckily for us, they went through a very bad phase. So they had to fire a lot of people. So they were spread all over Germany into different architectural offices, and they knew us. So they started recommending us and hiring us. So this all came natural. Then, as Zolt described, there was this high demand on the market. So even for clients like Herzog de Meuron or Rex in New York and other offices, Fem Koolhaas, and so on and so on, they were really looking for render guys, okay, because there weren't enough on the market who can do good quality.
Yeah.
Because I consider us also being like on the top when it comes to the quality level, also back then. Even though if you take a look at the images now, sometimes you say, "Oh my God!" But still, back then it was kind of a little bit of, I wouldn't call it artistry because it's like way exaggerated, but it didn't just have the standard render output look. Okay, so it was more to the images than that because we were painting a lot in Photoshop. Back then we had a lot of those clients, but we also lost a lot of them due to our attitude back then. The attitude was kind of, I don't know, if you want to fuck with me, we let you go. We have enough requests. That was a little bit our attitude, not only yours, Jolt, also mine. But you were stronger in your opinion and in your emails. Your emails were harder than mine. Sometimes I read through it and but still, right now of course, we are growing our client base. We are also doing sales, and as you can see, also some marketing efforts on the standard platforms. And we are growing our client base, but it's international. But still, I would say it's around about 70% in the DACH region. So,
Okay. So could you give me some situations about those attitude scenarios?
Not really.
not in detail. I would say
I don't know.
it's just not now. It sounded very funny, but back in the end, it's just that if you have so many requests and you cannot handle them, you don't take the request from the one who wasn't nice to you. You take the other one.
Yes.
So, and this is also how you lose clients, of course.
Mhm.
And it was not like big argues or something or some big stories or so. It was just our attitude was different than it is now, because now we're looking at it from a business perspective and we are having a team we have to nurture and a company and a brand, which is to be, I don't know, grow and be still alive and be a like living organism we have to feed, and back then it was just, I don't care, someone else will come.
We were the big artists doing our artistry, and if somebody does not like it or understand it, fuck off. Now, and in time you just mature and you start to understand the business. This is the interesting stuff which happened is when you start to understand that doing these services, you are just a B2B partner for someone. You're not a great artist who does his artistry and paintings like Michelangelo, but you fulfill somebody's needs. And you exist in this market like in every other business, basically. This is the ABC and the very basics of every business. Yeah, also the basic of capitalism, which is a very interesting story if you think that is always all of it is based on helping somebody else. Everybody's like, capitalism is bad and it's bad. It can denaturate like everything we do, like as humans. But at the core, it is a very good thing to say, I try to solve your problem, therefore you pay me. And if I cannot, then I have to disappear. If I cannot solve your problem, then there is no reason for me to be in this kind of doing. Then I have to do something else and maybe solve somebody else's problem in a different way. And this phase of rebellion was before we realized that, all right, that doing images is like every other business in this world. You just have to understand the needs of someone, and if you can solve it in a proper way, then you go on. And if you're not, then you can be the biggest, can think about yourself whatever you want. It's just not gonna work.
Okay.
So that was the big shift back then. This is the nice thing about our journey, that if you study business, then you know from day one what to do. We were artists in our heads, right? Creative people who just do what they love, and then you just learn step by step what to do. And you need to do the step, coming back to this business coach stuff. At a certain moment, you just have to realize that you're not enough and you need support. Somebody has to, like in cooking, if I now start cook something, if I wouldn't know how to cook, then I mess it up, and maybe in 20 years I will know how to do a good soup. But I could also bring a hire on board a good cook, and then I learn that in 2 days and know how it goes. And then that's the plateau where we go on from. So it's
perfect. We talked about clients, about your journey, what is unique about the business. Now, what you told about the need, it's like I'm helping someone else, or I'm fulfilling some needs or need for someone else. Now, in the company now, how do you market yourself, or to put it in a different way, how do you capture the need?
How do I capture the need of whom? Of the employees, or?
I mean, for the new clients. I mean, you said that we are expanding, right? We're trying to keep the flow of the project on the constant pace. It could be from previous clients, word of mouth. Do you have any sort of marketing strategies to expand on to get new segments of a market, or maybe new potential clients that you would love to work with? How do you go to them?
We do a lot of internet research about these different market segments, see what they do, try to understand, is there any way that we could help them? This is very important steps in our research phase. We just not go out and say, this is us, we are cool guys, hire us. But we very well know our product, we very well know our USP, and then from different sources of information, but mainly homepages of leads and prospects, we just try to understand where they are in the niche we are covering, and then we try to make up our mind, is there any way that we could do better than what we see there? All right, because it's a visual thing, so we just look. All right, and for example, if you see that they have renderings which we could do better, then you say, okay, go for it. Let's try to speak to them, to contact them, to do something together with them.
Okay, so you contact them directly.
Yeah, it's also like, it's first of all understanding their needs. I think that is very, very important. And I think we learned a lot about the client needs when it comes to architects and when developers. In the end, it of course has a lot to do with trust. They want a reliable partner with a lot of experience, who is just kind of, where you don't question even anymore if the output is great, because this is something to be considered standard. Okay, you cannot say, I do a great image, now I will have a great Archviz company. No, you need to understand the whole thing, the whole process. The client wants to be guided through the process. He wants to be in safe hands. And this way we kind of, try to approach clients, and of course we have these inbound activities where you have to, rely on existing client relationships. Then there are the outbound activities where you have to be creative to find new clients and all of that. And then it's of course, client retention and referrals. Like, it's a very, very strong point where we try to get referrals, and it's like in all directions. And at the same time, we also have an expert helping us with that part.
Okay, perfect.
So it's not Jolt and me just doing sales. We learned that. It's funny, if I may tell that story, because back then when we didn't do animations, we wanted to learn how to do animations. And the thing how we did it that was also back in 2011 or something. We hired someone from media school, and then we paid him basically to learn how to do animation. And that took like a year or something. And then we had one animation, but we also were so bad in marketing, we didn't even post it somewhere. Even though we didn't post it a lot, it won a prize, and was kind of animation somehow from RPCGI. I don't know who gave the prize. Nevertheless, that was when we learned, okay, let's not try to learn everything ourselves. Let's just hire professionals who know what they do, Why should I be now a sales guy? Why should I learn what somebody knows who's a professional, like already, It's like Joel said with the chef you hire,
That's true.
And also going back to your question, Anis, once the doors are open, we rely on these 20 years of doing in history, and we have a really huge expertise. So you never can claim that you have seen everything, but we have done ourselves so many projects. With our small team, we have done so many projects. So we have basically so much experience, not only in doing nice stuff, because like Niko said, doing nice stuff is the bare minimum you have to bring with yourself. Because if you are not capable of doing good images, then you better don't start. But this is by far not enough. All right. So you cannot win any clients by showcasing nice images, because everybody showcases nice images. So it's up to the thing that we have this Haltung. How do you say, what's the English word for it?
Relationship or no?
Or not relationship. Not an attitude is a bad thing, but we know what we're talking about, all right?
Your position. I mean, your position now is...
Yeah. So when we speak to clients, they immediately see that, there is a huge expertise behind what we do, and that there is this readiness
the name
understand and to help them. That's basically what's about.
Yeah.
It's not like buy my images because they're nice.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
you mentioned you hired an expert to help you in sales. Okay. But there is one part we skipped, but now I think it's a good place for it, which is, how do you structure your company? I mean, could you walk me through how it's structured? How many artists, lead artists? Who do you have? Project manager? Do you have a team specialized for social media content or for marketing? Do you have guys who are doing the sales part? What do you mean by sales? Talking to new clients, handling requestations, and those smaller parts. This is what is making the big picture.
Yeah. What you describe, Anis, if I may start the answer, is a company which is much larger than we are.
No. I spoke about different scenarios. I mean, I'm asking just to redirect you of what I'm looking for. I'm looking just to how do you structure a company?
So, there is a big difference between production is a very ugly word, between crafting imagery, doing creative work, because it's done by people who have a certain wiring in their brains, right? There is this, and then you have to manage them. So there was this, I don't know, I think it was a Scandinavian designer guy who said his job as managing a design company is basically managing chaos. And that's how we define what we do, Niko and I, in the first place, and then people who also manage what happens in this office. You need to manage chaos. It's a very interesting thing, because depending on the side of the company, you have to adapt different leading styles, let's say it that way. Now this sounds very elevated, but you deal very differently with a group of 2-3 people as with 10-20 and then more of them. So as much a company grows, as much rules you need, as much procedures you need. And you have to know how to bring that into your team. It's very challenging. These changes are very, very challenging. All right. So you basically have to mix creative stuff with very organized thinking and acting, because we all know how chaotic the clients are, and projects parameter change, feedback is coming not on time, all these things, which is of course the right of the client, but you need somehow to react on that with an integrity to finish the project in a good manner. So yeah, this is how we try to build it up, in having creative people and, let's say, bureaucratic is a bad word, but managing people. And then of course you need your overhead, where you don't see immediate effect because they don't do crafting imagery, they do office management, they do human resource, marketing or sales or stuff like that. Okay, and so the moment you are a little bit smaller, then you have to cover several positions with one person, right? And then you see how you parallelly grow the turnover, and then you start to employ and not over-employ and not have too much work. So yeah, it's this balancing out of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is the team in the two places?
At the moment, I think we are 18.
18 in total.
In total, yeah. And we're just two in Hamburg. So me, myself, and my colleague Sarah, we are sitting here in Hamburg, and we're doing the client communication for the German market. This also means like project management, to be very honest, because we are talking in German to the clients, and we are building up the project briefings for the creative department. And then you have this creative department as an entity for itself, which it, of course, also organized. We try to keep it as flat as possible, but here it is, of course, the case that you have more experienced people and people with different abilities, and then like a kind of structure comes natural. So we are doing what I think 90% of the medium-sized Archviz do. We have junior 3D artists, we have regulars, and we have seniors. Some of the seniors even take more responsibility by guiding others through projects. So they are like being kind of responsible also for organizational things. But it's kind of floating, you know. It's also depending on the project, on the size of the project, and the team configuration, because you have to always adapt. You know, you cannot say this is our rigid structure and then we walk through hell with this. No, it's not possible. You always have to adapt also to people. Like people who work for us, they also have a vision of their future, maybe, you know, they also have their separate path, where I want to get, what I want out of my life, you know, do I want to do artistry all day long, or do I want to teach others, or whatever, you know. So with all these different parameters, we're trying to form the core team of Beyond, you know. And then, as Joel said, we had for sales, we have a very, very small department. Really doing the sales and marketing now at once. And then we have the office management on the other side, and then it's us.
Okay, perfect.
Then again, we try to not to create too many different job descriptions. Nevertheless, we need to not overcomplicate it. But nevertheless, you have to offer a good place. It's about fulfillment, right? It's not about happiness. It's about fulfillment. And you just have to imagine these people, they spend their most of the times inside this office. What we dreamt of is now possible because these people exist. All right. And I don't want to turn the story now around, but it's basically you can dream a shitload, but nothing happens if you don't have a good team. And we have one. So in return, you need to try to offer them fulfillment. Right, this is an aim we have, which I now cannot really describe. Okay, but it's not like giving people candy and then be happy because I bought you candy. It's very interesting that there are people when we do the interviews, because we still like to do them in person.
Mm-hmm.
And they ask, what benefits do I have? Like here in Romania, it's a lot of companies pay for the meal for the people, or they pay for their gym, or
Yeah.
whatever it's kind of, I don't like this idea, to be honest, to say I give you a small salary, right, and then I give you some kind of candies and
Yeah.
fireworks, and then you're happy, or you
Yeah.
think you're happy.
That's
Our
very
philosophy,
popular here, my friend.
our philosophy is, if you do a good job, you shall earn enough in order to afford all this, and not be dependent on your employer on where you eat, for example. So it's very interesting how also this job of running a business is not just about clients, but it's also about the team you have. So you're between those two and mediate, kind of.
Mm.
It's very, very challenging and interesting, and
Yeah.
yeah,
challenging and fun. But if
Yeah.
you would ask there for a percentage, I would say it's at least 70% focusing on the team.
It is. It is a hard job. It's
Yeah.
not an easy one. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah, it's
Um,
people business. So we're in a people business. We're not in image business anymore. We work with people, and like Niko said, it's also challenging, and it's a fantastic thing. You see that, um, speaking about fulfillment, that if they are capable of helping you building up this business, and when you see that they thrive in their personal lives, that's it's gigantic. That
yeah,
all
yeah.
this we dreamt of ensures through mutual effort
Mhm.
the lives of so many people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wonderful.
You know,
Great.
I know it's your interview, but like, I want to say a quick story about something regarding the gym thing when I came to Germany. So I come from a different background, so I am here. And one Syrian guy said, I got an employment at the company, and I will be there from 8 to 5. I said, yeah, perfect. Are they paying overtime, 5 or 6? Maybe you might leave at 7. So he said, no, they don't pay, but I might take it somewhere else. I said, yeah, okay. What are the benefits? He said, well, I can go to a very high class gym with a reduced price. And the reduced price was already double the normal price of any other gym. And I told him, I'm a friend, you are paying this price just because you are getting the discount. Okay, perfect. And then I told him, how many times you will go to the gym? And he said, yeah, maybe 4 times because I go with my colleagues as well. I told him, my friend, you are 9 hours at the company and you still feel obligated to go to the gym at least 1 to 2 hours because you need to prepare, you need to go. So almost all your day is outside the home. And when are you going to see your family? And he said, yeah, but everyone is doing this. If everyone is doing this, it doesn't mean that it is right. Okay. And he was just married. And I told him, once you have one child, it's going to be a disaster. So just like a quick story about this. That was like a huge red flag for me. Um,
What
yeah, cool.
what we offer, that now, just to end this story of benefits, what we offer is medical insurance, because
Yeah,
that is an
that's
important
important.
thing. Also here in Romania, so if somebody manages to get over the probation period, then
Mhm.
automatically they get this package of.
Great, right.
Yeah.
Perfect. There is one point I know it's a little bit sensitive. It's about revenue and profit. Okay, revenue could be somehow a topic we should not speak about. It's not about the specific numbers, but like it's about um, because revenue, you have revenue expenses. You might get a lot, but like you are spending also a lot. I would like to speak about profit. How do you see the profit throughout the years? Is it constant? Is it growing? Do you see that it is challenging to keep it? How do you see it?
Um,
Yeah, for us, it's not growing the profits, to be very honest, because we are investing.
Uh,
We are investing into, technical things like hardware, software. We have a very, very nice house in Romania, which we bought, where we have a great garden, which we built in a way so people can really enjoy the moments of freedom they have in between the projects. We also do social stuff there, like having a beer after the work and stuff. So this is something where we invest, and so it's a little bit hard to say. It's also depending on a lot of things on the market to really talk about specific numbers. Saying that but saying that profit is growing through the year, I would say not for us at the moment. I would say it is something where we need to make steps into maybe completely new technology to offer a service which is not where the market is not that saturated at the moment, so you can demand higher prices. Because also with architecture visualization, there is kind of, no one is talking about it, but there is kind of a medium of prices everybody knows, and you, of course, when you offer your service in a way that you understand the client needs, you can be on the top of that price, but there's a limit to it where you can go. So from my point of view, I would say profits were not growing as we were growing the company, like in the same manner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. I mean, I don't want to get into numbers because once you talk about one number, you need to follow up with it regarding expenses, assets, and all of that. Let's keep it at this point. That's perfect. In the audience who might see this episode, okay, I do believe we have two types of people. People who are in your size, okay, and people who are starting or maybe junior artists. I want each one of you to give one advice for those two categories. One for someone who is like running a studio, 5 to 10 people, and another advice to someone who is starting. They are junior, they know how to make good images, not great, good images, and they want maybe to think about freelancing or joining your company. What would be your advice?
Shall I start? Or I will try to answer to all your questions and then give it over to Niko. So starting with newbies of this industry, I wouldn't recommend these times as proper to make your own small business, like alone and freelancing. There are several reasons. Of course, like we said, when we started, the market was completely different, right? There was a huge need and nobody could satisfy it. Now it's the opposite, all right? And in order to get the question is what these people do want, because it's different paths they can go, all right? But if somebody now wants to start a company just because they believe they can do nice images or a good quality product, the market doesn't work anymore like ensuring that this is enough. All right. So I see a big danger for newcomers now to start a freelance career, because it's a huge amount of other things need to be done. Who shall do that? Because the pace of creating images is so high, you just constantly make this image. You don't have any time to market yourself, to look for clients, to run after your money because maybe somebody just delays his payment and you cannot pay for your rent. So you need to make your taxes. You need to make all your insurances. I don't know how that should work, because who does the job of doing the images and who does the job which I described now? The moment you are completely dedicated to crafting imagery, because if you don't, somebody else is quicker than you. This is the one point. And the second point is a sad sector, and it's a very bad area in our business, this race to the bottom with the prices. All right. It's for us not dangerous. For bigger studios, it's not dangerous. But for these small guys who are not capable of taking over complex big projects, but just a small amount of work, there will be always somebody who will do that same job for less money. And that's bad. That's really bad. And I cannot think about a way for a newcomer in this industry now to say, I demand high prices. This would be the normal way. I have a great product. It's expensive. You need to pay me a lot of money. But I wouldn't know to describe the offer this person would have to make for somebody being alone. What can you do? Because you cannot do that kind of imagery nobody has seen before. It's so I would tell these people to wait, because we are not navigating now through easy times. It's also with AI, where maybe production will get cheaper and cheaper and faster. Through that, we'll have to see where it goes. It's not dangerous. You just have to jump on the train and see what it is. So many people are panicking. It's not the case to panic. It's not the case to ignore it, but also not to panic. But again, if you're the one who has to produce and you're alone and you have to do all the shit around it, and the AI is coming, and you have to do also your research, because the pace, it's huge of things evolving and changing, and you have yesterday a problem and today it's solved by AI, and that's it. So I wouldn't recommend. People wanting to join us, come to us. We're cool.
I have not much to add to that, especially not to the freelancer part, because I could talk hours about everything else you have to do except doing images. So I wouldn't start freelancing now. And we also know that the prices for freelance are super, super low. The prices you get for an image, because we get a lot of offers. Like even our mailbox is full every time with offers from freelancers offering services, and the quality is good. It's not that you can say, oh my God, it's all crap. You cannot look at it. It's really good quality, and the pace is fast. So I wouldn't start being a freelancer. Also, if you consider then starting your own business and maybe start as a freelancer and then go ahead and slowly start your own business, build a brand identity, because the brand is more than visual. You really need to build a brand around it, and it's about the reputation. It's about the alignment with the client values. This is what's important. That's what I would recommend to the people.
This is also to be recommended to smaller, mid-sized studios, to be honest. The big question is, what do they want? Okay, because you can't say this is a size I can manage. I reached the state where it's not about stagnation, but it's the sufficiency. All right, this is sufficient. I have a life that is okay. My people have a life that is okay. It's enough. So the goals for this kind of company is definitely different than for a company that is strategically focused on growth. They have to do different stuff. So it depends on what these companies want, because if you need to grow, then you need to specialize, to differentiate jobs, to understand where your margins of not the margins, where the edges or the limits are, where you have to change your leading style. How many people do you have to lead? How you deal with them, right? And this it's a basic information. I mean, like Niko said, the office where we have worked in our youth, they were so big that you didn't know your colleagues. You didn't know the names of them. So you can reach a size that is so impersonal that, or other guy, an architect friend of us there, I guess 60 people, right? And he said, I will become an alcoholic, because every evening I want to leave the job. Somebody is celebrating something, a birthday, whatnot. Okay, and they drink. And you cannot say, with you, my employee, I drink, and with the other guy, I don't. So he was worried that he never reaches home because he has to celebrate every evening with his people. And then, this kind of thing. Now, I wouldn't say this is a problem, okay? But what I want to describe is, I think, pretty clear, that you have to make up your mind about the style you will deal with the people. You have to introduce a hierarchy, because this flat thing is, from my point of view, or for our point of view, starting from a certain size is just nice stories, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing; it's a good thing, because the moment you have more and more people, you have more and more rules, because otherwise it just end up in chaos. So I would say they need to make up their mind in which direction they want to go. And it's like, just imagine a living organism, okay? So if you want to grow the number of your cells, you have to differentiate their function. You cannot just have ears. That's not a healthy organism, or just hands. You just do a lot of hands, and then we have a huge office. This is made out of right hands. It's not going to happen. So you need to build up a living structure that, when it's small, it needs different functions, and then it's big, it needs.
You need to have the balance with
different
all
functions.
the steps. Yeah.
And there's maybe one more thing. This is for small offices, for larger offices, for whoever. People doing this Archviz business should, I would say, understand that clients typically prioritize speed, affordability, and reliability over your personal aspirations. It's not about your art.
Yeah, they don't care about it. It's also, it's natural that they don't care. We see so much, I mean, not hate, but people complain so much about clients and how clients behave. Now, okay, if they don't pay, or if they're bad people, then it's understandable. Okay, if they're not good business partner. But to be honest, like if I order something in the internet and a delivery is capable of delivering to me tomorrow for a certain price, I'm willing to pay for that. I will never go to this guy and ask, did you sleep? Did you eat? How do you feel? Are you taken care of?
Absolutely.
It's a service that they know how to do, since they offer it.
Yes.
For that price. Yeah.
And I take it, and that's it. And then to start to complain, that's then our or the industry's fault, not treating ourselves correctly in the very first place. You cannot demand respect from anybody if you don't respect yourself. Now, I know this sounds a little bit like I'm speaking from a pedestal, like I know everything, but it's true.
This is
and
true,
the moment you lower your price, you lower yourself, you lower your value, you cannot expect that somebody will come and say, but I will pay you more.
You're way too cheap.
Why?
I would like to pay you more because your service is so valuable for us.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
this won't happen in life.
Now, to come back to why people shall work in our studio, because we very much take care that this does not happen to our employees.
Yeah, okay.
To our guys. All right. So we are very focused on our people in this office, that they thrive professionally, and I see a lot of studios, much younger studios than we, that may have not this experience of long time employees. Okay, where you come to us, we have cool projects. Well, I don't think that's enough. For a certain, you have to be careful. For a certain kind of people who want to work for you, maybe this is enough. But for a long term, you have to be completely different. It's not about how cool projects you do.
Yes,
of course, but it's not enough. It's about what perspective what is with me in 5 years? It's a question that arose after several years in our office. Okay, if I stay in your office, what can I hope for in 1 year, 2 years? These are my dreams. Help me fulfill them. So it's a wonderful thing.
And also very basic questions like, do I have to work every second night or every second weekend? It's very basic. It shouldn't happen. And if it's only a cool project, but you have to work your ass off, like we did in the beginning, I think it's no perspective for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really great and insightful. I have prepared a list. Let me see if I missed anything.
It was fun. So we can go on if you want.
I mean, if you have anything you would like to discuss, or maybe tell the audience about the company, we still have time. Although it's like 1 hour 17 minutes was like, I didn't really feel like it's.
No, it felt very, very short.
Yeah,
Certainly.
it went fast. So I was at this point, I would just address the young people in the industry because I suppose the older ones, they pretty much know what they do. I have not the arrogance to teach people in this matter, but for the youngers, I would say they need to really, really understand that what this branch is doing is nothing else than any other service providing sector in this world, right? It's about the benefit of the people you call clients. It's not about your ego as big artists. It's very nice to have a job where you bring in something from your heart and soul and core, but you exist. If you want to do this job, you exist because through this you can satisfy somebody's needs. And if you're not capable of it, then leave it. Then you have to go home and paint, exhibit, and maybe somebody will like it and somebody will not like it. But this is about value creation. And it's a very important thing to know because because the market looks like it looks, it will go into that direction more and more. It was a very interesting question. I don't know if it was asked when you were on stage, Anis, at the D2 now in Vienna last time in August.
What was it?
A guy asked who left a big company and now he's alone, kind of. I understood that he's alone or maybe just 2-3 other people, but it's a small thing compared to this big company he left.
Yes.
And he was asking, it is very interesting and naive from my point of view, that he was asking, why are clients not willing to pay for him the same price as they pay for the company because he does better images than the company. And these kind of people, they need to understand that the client will go to a bigger company that has a history, that is a reliable B2B partner. Of course, you can be able to do nicer images than this company does. Nobody says that that's not true, but it's not just about that. It's about how confident this client will rely on you, how well he sleeps while you work together with them. Does he have stomach ache thinking of, oh my God, what will I receive tomorrow? Will I receive something good? So all these client experiences getting more and more important. And this is where they have to focus.
Yeah. May I add to the, I don't remember the question to be honest. I mean, I remember something regarding how, I don't remember this question somehow. I don't remember if I answered even.
I don't know. But I think the answer was something similar to this. I don't know if you answered or Fabio.
But I mean, there is something to this point. Like I always make some sort of Q&As, 1 hour Q&A on LinkedIn, and people come and ask questions, or even in my community. So they tell me, so I go to the website, they say, hey, Anis, we made a website. Can you give us your feedback? I go to the website, I really research. I had the homepage, the about us page, the blog post. I never see any image of the team or who is behind this company. I say, my friend, where are you? Okay, it's only you. You should show your face. Should make your. The client should get familiar with you. And they say, I don't want to show that I'm only alone in the company. I want to give the impression that I am bigger. And I say, you cannot fake it. You are alone. That's it. You cannot take on projects for Zahari. You are alone, my friend. If you get if you always project this impression that you are many and you get really big projects, you are in trouble. And once you cannot fulfill, you lose the trust. And this client, they are also well connected to other studios. They are employees. And once the bad word is going to be spread, you cannot take it back. So you do need to work on projects of your size. So that's something related to this. But To be honest, yeah, I mean, there is a huge myth about working with bigger clients, bigger studios, and they are still alone, like one man freelancer. It's tough. I mean, what you said is 100% right. Well, like if I'm going to pay money for anything in life, the first thing I'm looking for is peace of mind. I don't want really to get
Yeah.
stuck in my head. Is it going to be right? Is it going to be on point, on time? Am I worried about damage? For example, what Nico said, client come to us because there is no question about the quality. There is no question that it's going to be on time. Yes, there is a history. There is a size of the company. There is like expansion size. This means if we get new projects, we already have some sort of talent acquisition or talent deposit. Okay, we are teaching in the university, you know where to get talents. This shows, yes, I am capable of doing bigger projects. If you don't do any of that, it's very tough. Yeah, that's basically your
Also
point.
wanted to talk about bigger projects because, okay, you might say now there are new technologies coming. I'm still capable, even if I'm alone, I'm capable of doing 7, 8, 9, 10 image project and an animation. Yes, you can craft those outputs, but you cannot handle all the participants of the project at the same time and make everybody happy and feel comfortable, because it's not just one person you talk to, how you need to talk to a landscape designer, an architect, a project developer, and so on and so on. Bundle all that information to funnel it into important information and so on. So this is something you also need to learn, from my perspective, I was doing the images, and handling with the client when we were young, when we were starting. Then I was only handling clients, and the team. And it's super challenging. And you learn and you learn and you learn even the handling of the client, And if you have a large project, it can be a full-time job just to get the data together, to understand the differences between different plans and to understand who's responsible for what. And at the same time, make a timing which makes the client comfortable because he knows, okay, I will get my first draft in that time, and there is a process behind it, so there will be a second draft at that point of time, and so on and so on. So it's a very complex thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really, really hard to do, I think, for freelancers who just sit on their high-end render machine and do images, to handle all that.
And also what is hard for one man shows, one person shows, is you never have this, your window where you have a happy life is very narrow, because you need a certain amount of work. Yeah, you need a certain amount of work that happens. All right, that you eat well, sleep well, go home, and have the right amount of money and fulfillment, and you're also relaxed.
That sounds
either you have much more work than that and you die on working because you should be stupid to say no, because you never know, is this client ever coming back, because they will not stop the project because of you, they will go somewhere else. So you have to ask yourself, will they come back ever because I said no? How to learn to say no, how you manage that, and what do you do when you don't have enough work? Because
that's the other side of the medal.
Yeah, because it will be one extreme or the other extreme. And I don't know, you have to be made of, I don't know what material to resist that for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time, yes.
Yeah. Cool, perfect. From my side, I'm definitely interested in meeting you both in person. Okay, maybe in next year in May, you have the chance or maybe the time to be in the office here and have the mastermind maybe in person.
Definitely.
One last word to the listeners, then we can close this episode. Do you have any last word?
My last word is that was great fun. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, also for the listeners, you can reach out to us via our website, email address. Just get in touch, and we are happy to answer your questions as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you, Anis. We are honored to have had this
funny
but really, really in-depth discussion about the state of our industry nowadays.
Yes.
I think it's a great thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
There are several key players in this industry that I I admire for their doing, and you're definitely one of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please accept
Appreciate
this
that.
as somebody who was in this industry for a very, very long time.
Thank you.
It's, from my point of view, it's exactly what is needed at this moment. So yeah, thumbs up.
Great. Thank you.
Go for it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Niko. Thank you very much, Zolt. And if anyone has any question, I will leave the contact details below in the description. If you would like to stay up with both of them, you can also connect with them on LinkedIn, right? You can follow their page also on Instagram. I will put all the links below. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next episode.
Anis.
Thank you, Anis.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Bye.